Okay, Amy, I'm going to start, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I will call the meeting to order. Welcome to the February 2021 meeting of the City of Reading's Historical Architectural Review Board. During the COVID-19 emergency declaration, the Historical Architectural Review Board will hold its meetings using the virtual meeting platform since the public is still prohibited from attending the regular HARB meetings in person. Public comment for the HARB meeting was made available through email directed to Amy Johnson up to 5 p.m. today. Comments will be read into the record at this meeting. Ms. Johnson, were any public comments submitted?
No, there were no public comments.
Okay, thank you. A full recording of tonight's meeting will be placed on the city's website after adjournment of the meeting. So thank you for your attendance this evening. Chapter 295 of the City of Reading Codified Ordinances requires that the HARB be guided by the United States Secretary of the Interior Standards for Rehabilitation and Guidelines for Rehabilitating Historic Buildings, Chapter 180, Construction Codes, and by any policies and/or guidelines hereafter adopted by the board or the City of Reading. While meetings of the HARB are generally informal, Robert's Rules of Order are used to structure the proceeding and maintain decorum. All attendees are asked to mute the microphone if they're not actively engaged in conversation or in their part of the meeting, and to do so until their application is read. And the audio portion of these proceedings will be recorded for record-keeping purposes. When the applicant hears the name of his or her property called by the chair, they should identify themselves and then wait for the preservation officer to present the summary of the application proposal. The chair will then recognize the applicant when the time is appropriate for him or her to present any supporting information to the board, and applicants are asked to limit their presentation to 3 minutes. So minutes were submitted for September 20th and January 21. And I would like to know if the board has reviewed these and if there are any corrections to the minutes. I know September, I believe, was submitted at the last meeting. We just didn't have the opportunity to review those and vote on those.
Correct.
Okay. Mr. Booth, were you able to get your questions answered?
I think so. It doesn't seem like there were any corrections to be made. I think it was an issue with downloading. Somehow the file got corrupted.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, I checked all
Okay.
my copies and they were all fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I checked as well. They seemed, that second one you sent through seemed fine as well. So, okay. All right. So I think we can have a motion for the approval of both September and January. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve September and January.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Okay, all those in favor of approving the September 2020 and January 2021 minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, those opposed? Okay, very good. Those minutes are approved. Are there any conflicts of interest for tonight's agenda? Nope. Okay. All right, then we will go ahead and call the first applicant. Ms. Johnson will read the property summary for 138 South Fifth Street.
This 3-story detached brick residential building is located in the Callow Hill Historic District. It has a brownstone foundation, limestone dealing on the facade, and a heavily bracketed cornice. The first floor features limestone semicircular hoods with keystones over 2 large windows and the entry doors. All the windows have arched glazing and 2/2 sashes in the upper stories and 2/4 on the first floor. The 3/4 light double entry doors share a semicircular transom. Segmental limestone arches cap the 2nd and 3rd floor windows. The building is Italianate in style and was built late in the 19th century. And tonight we are reviewing the proposal for the installation of a mechanical parking gate consisting of 2 single 14-foot long arms at the entrance to the rear parking lot, of which is adjacent to Wood Street. And the Secretary of the Interior standards that apply to this project are number 2, the historic character of a property shall be retained and preserved. The removal of historic materials or alteration of features and spaces that characterize a property shall be avoided. And number 9, new additions, exterior alterations, or related new construction shall not destroy historic materials that characterize the property. The new work shall be differentiated from the old and shall be compatible with the massing, size, scale, and architectural features to protect the historic integrity of the property and its environment.
Okay, thank you. Would the applicant like to make comment?
This is Cynthia Lasota. In the background is my father, Walter. What I'm looking for is a security gate for the rear of my property, and it's not going to be 2 arms. It's one for my side, unless my neighbor has also submitted a separate application for his side of the property.
Okay, so just one arm, the way it's pictured here.
It's 1 arm for
Okay.
my side, yes. It's basically 14 feet long, and the control is 4 foot high by 18 inches square. I believe Terry from Berkey submitted drawings to Amy on its position and what the arm would look like, and also a website that you can access for a better picture of the arm.
Okay. Or something. Okay, so I guess this shows 2 arms, Amy? Is that where we thought?
Yeah, that's his drawing shows 2 arms.
But one is for my neighbor.
Oh, okay. That wasn't made clear. Okay. So, I did see when I took the photographs that one side was, or I guess your side was plowed differently than the other side. So that large parking lot is actually split in 2. It's not all yours.
Correct.
Oh, okay. I did not know that.
Yes. My parking lot is right behind my brick building. And originally at Wood Street, there was a 2-story brick building, which was probably the original carriage house, which was torn down over 50 years ago.
Ah, okay.
Okay. And it had doors that you could access from Wood Street, and then doors which would allow you to go into the yard area. But that was torn down by Mr. Hoffman at least more than 50 years ago, the building was.
Okay, so we're just looking at this side tonight.
Yes, my neighbor
Correct,
would have
okay.
to submit for his side.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, all right. So that's where the confusion was then, Amy. Okay,
I was not aware of that.
Okay.
okay, all right.
And I
Well,
think the
that's simple.
executive committee had a comment about the control is not going to be attached to the brick pier that is in the back. No, it'll be self-standing.
Okay. So it's just gonna
And-
be right next to this?
Hopefully behind it.
Oh, behind it, back there. Okay,
Mhm. And it should be similar to what the library has at the other end of my block.
mm-hmm. Yeah, Ms. Johnson made us aware of the fact that there was one installed there. Okay. All right, does the board have some questions for the applicant? Are there any concerns or exceptions to the application as submitted? Okay. Due to the vast degree of silence, I'll assume that maybe we're ready to make a motion. If there are no exceptions or issues to the application, is someone willing to make a motion at this time?
I have one question, I guess. And that one question would be, since only one gate's going to be put up, Does your neighbor have an intention of putting up a gate, or is that
Yes,
not?
he does. He just has not submitted to the heart.
Okay,
I
are you
told him
gonna
to
maybe
submit to the heart.
kind of wait until his submittal goes through and then have it all done in one time?
Yes, this is a major project that Berkey's doing. Our lots are going to be blacktopped, and they were supposed to be done in the fall, but they couldn't be finished before they stopped the production of blacktopping material.
Okay,
So it's been held off until spring. So
Okay.
this isn't going to proceed until they can do all the work at one time.
that's a lot of lot you're gonna have, that's for sure.
Actually, my lot is only behind the red brick building you see. His lot is behind his white
Yes,
building on the other side. So,
yeah,
yeah.
regardless, though, it's still a pretty sizable, piece of real estate.
It's enough for all my tenants and myself that there are enough
Okay.
spaces for our parking, for our cars.
All right. I was just wondering if there was gonna be, because it would be kind of pointless to put one up without the other one,
So we really would have liked to have put up a black wrought iron moving gate, but unfortunately, because of the guidelines for the spacing of the prongs of the gate, it would be so heavy. I do not have enough area for return for a gate like that.
Okay,
That's good to know.
all right, that sounds good. I would make a motion to accept the proposal for the gate being put on the rear of this property.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Mr. Politica?
Yes,
Okay, and Ms. Walker?
Yes.
Yes, okay, very good. Okay, so Ms. Lasota, you are approved to install that gate, and hopefully your neighbor submits an application and you can coordinate that all together.
I will help him to fill it out and complete it.
Yeah, there you go. Give him a little nudge.
Okay.
All right, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Okay,
Sid.
have a good evening.
You too.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, all right. All right, let's move on to our next application, which is for 401 Penn Street. And Ms. Johnson, if you'd like to read the application summary, and then we'll allow the applicant to speak after that.
Sure. This 5-story building was built in 1980 and features a brick facade with linear window bays, decorative vertical brick piers, brick corbelling detail at the 5th floor roof line, and an arcade with recessed commercial storefronts at the 1st floor level at the southern facade. The structure received a site quality rating of 80 and is a contributing building in the Callow Hill Historic District. And tonight we are reviewing the proposal for the installation of banners on the North 4th Street and the Court Street facades, and the installation of an oversized temporary vinyl banner to announce that Alvernia University will be coming soon. And the Secretary of the Interior standards that apply to this project are number 2, of which I read earlier. Number 5, which reads distinctive features, finishes, and construction techniques or examples of craftsmanship that characterize a historic property shall be preserved. Number 9, of which I read earlier, and the HARB sign policy.
Okay, excellent. So the applicant is welcome to make comments at this time.
Well, thank you, and good evening. John McCluskey, Senior Vice President and Chief of Staff from Alvernia University. And joining me tonight is Charlene Doman, Director of our marketing and everything else that goes on wonderful at the university. So she's with us as well. So
Okay.
again, appreciate the opportunity to share with you our proposal. I do think that it's important, and what Amy or Ms. Johnson read there was the fact that we're talking about temporary signage at this point in time. We are looking, and going to be replacing some small signage that's on the light posts, et cetera, that are there. But really what we're talking about here are the coming soon banners that would hang off of the building, just to kind of notify and signal folks that we're coming. We bought the building in June and we haven't really demonstrated, other than maybe some of the construction stuff, anything going on. So, hopefully anticipating a little bit of maybe conversation, putting these signs off of the building, we would make sure that we're not putting anything into the brick. If we were going to go and put anything, it would be into the mortar, or locations that you would tell us that would be more appropriate. But certainly, if there's one thing I've learned about being on the HARP calls in the past, it's do not go into the brick. So that we will not do. And then the other, I'm trying. And the other part is, again, it's replacing basically where there was signage that I believe the HARP approved for iLead in the past. The only new areas that we would like to put something, and again, whether that becomes permanent or not, we need to put a whole sign package in front of you that's appropriate with the building. But what we would be replacing is on the pillars that you can see in the front. I think that was approved in the past. What we really want to do is put a couple on the back as well, so that if you're coming up Court Street, you'll be able to see it on Court Street as well. Whether they're permanent or not, again, we'll put that forward in another sign package. So at this point, what we would be proposing to you in this is to do some temporary signage, and we would be more than willing to pull this down as we get ready to put the new sign package, so we don't exceed the sign limitations that are in place. So I'll pause. Shar, anything I missed there? And then obviously, I think I might have taken my 3 minutes, so I apologize if I went more.
Just that we would like to, the same banners that we have been approved to replace on Penn and within that courtyard area, we would like to do the same thing then on the Court Street side as well as on 4th Street, so that those banners are on all 4 sides of the building.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for clarifying that.
Sure.
Okay. All right, so we are reviewing, why don't we go ahead and start with the large temporary sign, the coming soon sign, which
Yes.
has dimensions of 48 high by 12 feet wide.
Correct.
Okay, all right. So let's review that first. So the board, which I'm just going to open it up to some questions from the board about the temporary sign. Well, I have a question to break the silence. How, because I'm very uncomfortable with silence, so I'm going to do it. What is the intention? How long do you think that sign would need to be hanging there?
Yeah, no, it's a great question, and I should have probably addressed that. We're going to be bringing, hopefully, sooner than later, the entire sign package. But I think part of it is we're just not sure. And again, you all keep me whole here. I'm not sure how we measure based upon the size of the building. I know there was conversation around that to make sure we get whatever our total signage would be with tenants and with us and everything else. So I guess what I would, the real short answer to your question is this will come down probably mid to late summer at the latest. We're looking to go live with this building August 1st. And so we would like to have this down. We need to get the signs made, prepared, and hung, hopefully by August 1st. So temp signs coming soon will come down, before that.
Okay. All right. So about seven to 8 months. Okay. All right.
And if you tell me you want it down before that, we can probably make that work as well. However we need to play.
Yeah, well, I assume obviously there's going to be some overlap, and when you come back with the balance of the sign plan, then I assume that maybe there'll be a little overlap, but that would come down and then be replaced with the permanent signage that would be in that area. So, okay, all right, very good. Does the board have any questions about this particular sign? And does the board believe that the size is appropriate for a temporary sign? Any exceptions to that size or those graphics?
I have no exceptions.
Okay,
I'm
right.
fine.
okay, very good. All right, then let's move on to the banners that will be adorning these, the brick piers. Yep, so we're talking about 20 inches by 48 inches, which I think somebody calculated at about 9.5 square feet each. Is that correct, Ms. Johnson?
That's correct.
Yeah, okay, all right. I forgot our math.
Those banners are 68 inches in length.
68, right, yep.
Yes.
Yep, from
yes.
top to bottom. Yep, got
Yes.
it. Okay. All right, very good. And Ms. Johnson has approved in kind the replacement of 4 on the Penn Street facade and then 4 in the courtyard area. And so I believe those, if they've not been approved, those would be approved, in kind. So we're really looking at the installation we're looking at 4th Street right here. Is that correct?
Yes.
That's
Correct.
Okay. And there would be a proposal for 6, 1 on each pier. That's correct, 6?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
So 6 on 4th Street. And then another, and how many on, let's see, Court Street. That's Court. 1, 2, 3, 4, another 6?
It looks like 5 on that side.
Yeah.
Okay. So 5 on Court Street. Okay, so an additional 11 banners. In addition to the 4 that's on Penn and 4 that's on Courtyard.
Correct.
Okay, so a total of 19. Okay. Okay, all right. Okay, Ms. Johnson had shared the previous application that we had approved when this was the iLead school. And I know that we have some approval for, in addition to the ones in kind, to some additional ones as well. But I believe that it was every other. Just remind the board, just really briefly, Ms. Johnson, what the installation, what iLead school is approved to do on both the 4th Street and, the 4th Street and the Court Street side.
According to the resolution for iLead, the board had approved the installation of a banner on every other brick pier. And I think it was just to minimize the amount of signage. And I think the iLead had agreed to that to prevent it to be cost prohibitive for them too.
Right. Okay. 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 So does the board have some questions about the proposal, the amount of banners, how we agree to calculate available square footage for the banners? Would like to start a discussion there?
Well, it seems like it would be an exception to the existing signage policy, and the board's talked about adjusting that in the past. It is something that needs to be revisited when you're considering a multi-tenant building. And this is a good litmus test because there is a lot of surface area that faces the street, and we're still encountering some issues where the building signage appears to be taking up the entire allotment, which would, if you held to a strict interpretation of the policy, negate the ability for tenants to add their own signage. So I think that needs to be revisited. In the interim, I would have no exception to the amount of signage that's proposed for the building, understanding that we will see future applications on the first floor for other tenants.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. Ms. Walker or Mr. Politica, did you have some questions or concerns or exceptions to the application?
Not really, no.
Okay.
No, I'm good.
You're good? Okay, all right, very good. So we know that, yeah, I mean, because, you know, the building is in process and you're doing things in phases, and there's a necessity to identify the building depending on phases, or just like, hey, this is our identity, this is how we're going to brand it. Make no mistake that this is an Alvernia building. And also to reinforce what Mr. Booth said in terms of, you know, the board's review, because this is a large building. I do think that there are some clarifications or perhaps adjustments in the policy that may be necessary, and that the board should, or the policy committee should probably start to take a look at, so we can make sure that guidance to you when you're submitting your final proposal for full signage is clear, and that can be, you know, process can be smooth and well understood for you, I think is important.
Great.
So, okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. So if there's no further questions or exceptions or issues with the application as proposed, would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the application for signage at 401 Penn Street as proposed, based on the premise that although the signage is an exception to the existing sign policy, it is in keeping with the Secretary of Interior standards and would be considered historically appropriate.
Okay, very good. Do you feel it necessary to include in your motion like a time limit on the temporary banner? Or it's just a suggestion. If you don't think it's necessary, that's fine. I just wanted to put it out there in case. We sometimes do include a time limit, I believe, Ms. Johnson, on temporary banners.
Correct, yes. I think it's good to set a time limit, if that's okay with everyone.
Would the applicant be amenable to a 180-day time frame? 6 months.
I got to do the math.
We probably won't get it up till March, so April, May, June,
What
July,
month do we get
August.
to?
That takes us to September, August, September.
Oh, yeah,
We're
trust
good.
me, we're
We're
gonna have it
good.
done. This job has to be done, trust me. I got other things I gotta get on to. Yeah, no, we'll have it, I promise.
We have bigger problems, right?
Yeah, exactly. You won't see me on this call if I don't have it done.
Okay, so then included in the motion would be a 180-day time frame for the removal of the temporary banner.
Okay, all right.
Really, the clock would actually start from this date. That's our typically how we measure that. So that would bring you to the middle of August anyway.
Okay.
I will personally take them down.
All right, thank you, Mr. Booth. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so Mr. Booth.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Politica?
Yes.
All right, and Ms. Walker?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. All right. Well, you're approved for the temporary signage and the banners, and we look forward to the full final comprehensive signage plan, and trust that we'll have a smooth review at that point as well.
All right. Well, thank you all.
so much.
Again,
Thank you.
Terrific.
Thank you.
terrific stuff. Good news for us.
All right,
Thank you.
have a good evening.
Have a great
Thank you.
evening.
Thank you.
Okay,
you.
you too.
You.
Okay, excellent. All right, and then our last application, which I believe you said, Ms. Johnson, the applicant is not present for this. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, all right, for 247 North Fifth Street. Okay, all right, if you'd like to read the property summary.
Sure. The subject property received a site quality rating of 82 and is a contributing building in the Callow Hill Historic District. Built in the Italianate style, the building is a 3-story structure which dates to the late 19th century. The property features a painted brick facade with a brownstone water table and original wrought iron basement window grates, an arched brownstone entrance around, brownstone lintels above the windows, a decorative bay window at the southern facade, and the original decorative wood cornice at the 3rd floor roof line. And tonight we are reviewing the proposal for the installation of a feather banner or feather flag to be attached to the first floor entrance railing. And the Secretary of the Interior standards that apply to this project are numbers 2, 5, and 9, of which I read previously, and the HARB sign policy. And because the applicant couldn't attend tonight, basically it's just as I just stated, they just want to install the proposed feather flag that says taxes in white on a red background just until April 15th of this year. And they want to attach it to a railing, to the front entrance railing. And I had provided you with a photograph of what that looked like when they had originally installed it last year without permission, but they took it down once I had contacted them. And that, yeah, that's the picture there.
So it's the same banner?
It's except the writing is different. It says taxes like is in your packet.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. Okay. Oh, like
Yeah.
that one?
Yes.
Okay. Got it. Tax service. Okay. All right. Well, the applicant is not here to field questions. Before we open the discussion though, Ms. Johnson, can you just, we did approve the signage for this property back in, when was it? In the summertime, is that correct?
I think it was, yes, it was, yeah, in the summertime.
Okay, okay. And I believe we've had some issues with compliance to that resolution in terms of the turning off the neon signs.
Yes, I've
Is that
contacted
correct?
multiple times since they've
Mhm.
applied for this application. And the owner contacted, when she contacted me today about not being able to attend, she told me that she's been working on the turning off the sign, the neon sign issue. And she
Mhm.
said that after 8 o'clock at night, they are not on, and she said it will not happen again.
Okay. Okay.
The original resolution, I don't have it in front of me, but it mandated that they had to be turned off. The neon signs had to be turned off at 9. So she's saying
Mhm.
business closes at 8 and she'll have them off by 8 p.m.
Okay. All right. I still believe we should be vigilant nonetheless.
Yes.
And yep, okay, all right, very good. Okay, does the board have any questions or any exceptions to the application as proposed? Okay, if there's nothing, is there a motion?
I have a question. Is it freestanding?
No, that's why she wants to attach it to the railing. So you can see in this picture from last April, she has it attached to the railing. It's not one of those that has a base that she'll be bringing in and out.
How is it anchored?
That I don't know. It's somehow tied to that railing.
Is there a concern with us approving something like this and it being in the way of someone using the railing to get up the steps?
Yes.
There are 2 railings on either side. There's a railing on either side.
Well, and this being a commercial property, they would be required to have a railing on each side.
Oh, okay.
I think it's a code issue. I don't know that historically we would have to consider the impact on the property, but provided that it was a temporary installation that's removable, I don't know that it would
Mhm.
necessarily be a historical problem. I think the bigger issue is the functionality of how it's being anchored and the usability of that railing.
Is there a preferred method of attachment? And if so, if the board is agreeable to accepting the sign as proposed, we can specify the way it's attached. But again, like in terms of a provision for, well, I guess like you had said, Mr. Booth, I don't know that we necessarily have purview over, like, if it is a code issue, we would still just be approving the installation and the style of the banner.
Sure,
Did I understand that
sure.
correctly? Yep. Okay.
Yes, that's correct. I mean,
Okay.
maybe a recommendation would be a freestanding, a pedestal mount where it has its own base, and position it in front of the gas meter to hide it. That would be my
Yeah.
suggestion.
Oh, that's a good idea. Clever. Well, that certainly is an option that the board could consider and propose in a motion. Like a base
So-
similar to like a
So-
umbrella base, or something like that, I guess, right?
So moved.
Okay, all right. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. All right. Okay, Mr. Booth.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Politica.
Yes.
Okay, Ms. Walker.
Yes.
Okay,
So
all
I
right.
just,
Thank you, everybody.
I just want to
Go
make
ahead.
clear, if that's okay. So the feather banner can be on a pedestal base and until April 15th.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
And Mr. Politica, your second, it still stands with that? Okay, all right, very good. All right. Okay, excellent. Well, we got through 3 applications very quickly, so good job, everybody. All right, yes,
Say,
Go ahead.
moving on to the next one, I'm sorry, I meant to let you introduce it, but I wanted for the applications approved by staff, item number 4. I apologize, I forgot to add 401 Penn Street and the in-kind approval that I did for the replacement of the existing iLead banners on the Penn Street facade and in the courtyard. That should be added to the staff approvals.
okay. Okay, all right, thank you for that clarification. Is there a motion to approve applications at staff level?
I'll make a motion.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. All those in favor? Say aye.
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 Okay, and those opposed? All right, excellent, thank you. All right, all approved. Okay, so Ms. Johnson, Preservation Officer's Report on Action Items. Do you have any updates on these?
I have one, and then I also have, I did the September 2020 resolutions for all of you as well. There's one I keep meaning to, that's on our list, 817 North 4th Street. It's in the middle of a row, and it's been owned by a bank, and there was back in 2018, it was approved for multiple improvements. I just want to let you know that I have been in the process of working with there's a new contractor involved, and I've been in the process of working with them to make sure everything is has been done correctly. I provided them with the HARB resolution from that time period, and I made a site visit and told them everything that had not been completed as per the HARB resolution. So that is one that I'm on this list that I've been working on. And then as far as the September resolutions from September 2020, the first one was 534 Minor Street, of which Nigel had inquired about, and I emailed the status of that property earlier. There was only 3 that month. The second one was 322 South Fifth Street, St. Peter's Church. And that one I do have to go out and look at because I'm not sure whether they've undertaken the replacement of the door handles and the escutcheons that Mr. Booth and I had helped them with too on a site visit. So that one I have to check on. And then the third one is 525 Penn Street, of which I reported on last week. We had an appeal hearing on January 12th, and council made the decision on February 8th to approve the internally illuminated channel lettered sign, but to remand it back to the HARB for a final approval of channel lettered sign that met the square footage, the maximum allowable square footage for the entire building. So I have been in contact with that applicant and they will be providing a new application. And then there was one from last month, 734 Madison Avenue, and I did not get out there before the snow, and I did try last week, but the alleyway that I need to enter was full of snow, so I couldn't get behind the building. So I will keep on that one as well. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for those updates. Appreciate it. Okay, all right. The Education Outreach Committee does not have a report. And I would like to open up the possibility, perhaps we can just discuss it after election of officers, the committees with Rick and with Ms. Politic and Ms. Walker, again, just opening up the opportunity for participation on any one of these committees. Policy committee, I know that Mr. Booth was, there was another individual on our board that had retired and he was part of the policy committee, particularly if we're going to be looking at perhaps an enhancement to the sign policy, there may be some opportunity there. But having said all of that, I do not have any report at this time. And Mr. Booth, is there anything you needed to report?
No, I think the task at hand for the policy committee would be to draft an amendment to the sign policy and circulate that for discussion. So
okay.
I don't know that I'll be able to get to it in the next month, but I think after our next meeting, I should have some more availability in my schedule. I can maybe start to look at that.
Okay, all right. And I'd be more than happy to participate in that, whether it's like on the initial draft of an amendment or certainly like, comment, back over that. But if you need another brain or if, Mr. Politic or Ms. Walker would like to do so, it's really good to understand that, I think especially with Alvernia, there are some challenges to the existing sign policy and it exposes, in a good way, maybe the need for building that out a little more or addressing larger scale buildings or just clarification on how we're calculating square footage, all those things. So just bear that in mind, maybe think about that a challenge to the rest of the board, but certainly I'd be more than happy to participate in any amendment proposal at any stage of doing that.
Please do. And my only thought at this point is that there needs to be a second layer of calculations so that there's a methodology for calculating signage for the building and then a separate methodology for calculating signage for the tenants.
Got it. Okay. Very good. Okay. Excellent. Okay. Preservation commendations. I know this is on every agenda. Yeah. And you're still willing to accept any recommendations at this point, right?
Correct, yes.
Okay, all right, so that's still open then.
Anything throughout the city. It doesn't have to be just in the historic district.
Right. Yep, thanks for reminding us of that. I know I just tend to think historic districts, so it's good. Okay. All right, excellent. Okay. So we'll move to election of officers now for the calendar year 2021. And of course, we've got chair, vice chair, and secretary. I'll start with chair. If there are nominations for chair for 2021.
I nominate Ms. Erin Weller.
All right, I accept that nomination. Is there a second to that?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Mr. Politica, did I hear you there?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, and opposed, none, okay. All right, well, thank you for that opportunity again, appreciate that. Okay, we'll open it up to vice chair. Is there a nomination for vice chair? I will nominate Ms. Nigel Walker. Is there a second to that?
I'll second.
Okay, excellent. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and opposed, none? Okay, excellent.
Thank you, everyone.
Yep,
I'm
thank you, Nigel.
You're welcome.
Well, thank you for jumping in, and I'm sure the last year, in spite of the fact that, you know, we don't get to meet in person, hopefully, it's a good learning experience and helps to like fill in some of the blanks when we're reviewing applications. It sure does help to like have some idea of what the discussion is going to be going into a meeting, and if that's the only thing that is the benefit, that's still a huge benefit. But thank you very much for your willingness to serve and learning and things like that. That's great.
No problem. Thank you. And you're
All right.
absolutely right. It does help a lot. It does.
It does. Yep. Especially when you're still kind of like, well, we're all still in the learning phases. It like the learning never stops, but it certainly helps when you're in those early like formative years of trying to understand, you know, what and why we do what we do. So, okay. All right. Well, the last year we have not had a secretary. I wouldn't say that it was a massive hardship, although it is falling on Ms. Johnson in terms of kind of writing up the executive committee notes. But we would still very much like to have a secretary if there's anybody who is either willing to serve. I would certainly put a nomination in, or if someone has somebody they'd like to nominate.
I'm just on so many different committees right now. It's like I'm so overtaxed at this point. I mean, I just got to be honest about that. So, you know,
Okay.
and I'm at this point right now. If I would take on one more meeting, I mean, I'd be starting to go into the second week of Zoom meetings. You know, and just how much
goodness.
a person can take. You know.
And yeah, and that's fine. I mean, we just want to ensure that it's something that you can make a commitment to. And if you can't, or it's just not something that you want to take on, or just, you know, don't want to do that, that's okay. But I appreciate you addressing that.
Yeah, I have a lot of with the Berks History Center. I have a lot of committees that I'm on, as well as on the board there as well. So it's like, and
Okay.
you know, and right now it's like I had made the statement just recently. If I take anything else on, something else got to go. So nothing else is going to get added on without taking something off the top. You know, so
Okay.
you know.
All right.
Kind of how where I'm at right now with it. So
Okay.
I'm doing like 8. I'm on to my second week already, because I have, I think, like 8 different Zooms I do during the course of a month. So, you know.
Okay. That's a lot.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah. It is. All right.
Being
No,
mild,
totally
that is a lot. Yes.
Okay. All right. So are there any other nominations, or anybody that would be, there's only one left, sorry, willing to serve? It's as if I'm speaking to a vast audience here. There's only 4 of us.
I would not be
hate-
willing to nominate myself if that's what you're asking.
I love that. Nor would he appreciate anybody nominating him, I'm sure. That's funny. Okay, but that's perfectly fine. Like I said, we've you know, the most important positions are filled, which is great. Of course, if anybody has a sudden break in their schedule or an earnest desire to serve as secretary, we will nominate at any point in the year anybody that would like to do so. So, all right, excellent. Okay, so is there anything else? I think we've finished through our agenda again
Yeah.
in record time. That's great. Okay, very good. Well, thanks
Remember this
everybody. Is there?
tonight.
Yep.
Remember
So
this.
is there a motion? Oh, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Okay, excellent. Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, excellent. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, excellent. And none, any opposed? Nope. All right, everybody. Well, fantastic meeting. Thank you. And you have a large part of your evening and enjoy it and use it wisely. Good night, everybody.
Thanks, folks.
Thank you all.
All right. Thank
Have a
you.
good
Thanks,
night.
everybody. All
Bye.
right. Bye-bye.